Hey, all my friends across Kansas. John Felt here, and this is the Kansas Karn Weekly Weather Briefing. I've got some guests helping me, my grandkids, Ansley and Jack and Nora, and they prepared the forecast. And what's the forecast, Ansley?
Hot.
And Jack, what do you got to say?
Hot.
And Nora, what do you have?
Hot.
Well, that's the forecast. Let's get started. Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the weather threats over the next week. Looks like heat is going to be one of the issues as we go into the 3 to 7 day period here. And it looks like the severe storm threat will be up to our north as well as a heavy rain. So it looks like the biggest threat will be the temperature. Now, some of the action spots last week, we had first named storm of the season, Tropical Storm Alberto, and it produced some heavy rain and inundation flooding in Texas. I think we're going to see a lot of that type of action this year due to the really hot temperature of the Gulf and Caribbean. Now, the other thing was the heat, and you can see we definitely had that in Kansas with temperatures anywhere from 2 to 4 to as much as 6 to 8 degrees above normal for the weekly average. And the maximum 1 day temperature in the western part of the state looks like it made it into 95 to 100 degree range, and maybe even in a few spots above 100 degrees. In the eastern part of the state, it looks like it mainly made it into the 90s. As far as rain goes last week, we had some really extreme rain that brushed the Kansas-Nebraska border with 5 to 6 inches. So if you're in some counties there, actually that's the Nebraska-South Dakota border. If you're in those counties all the way from Nebraska and South Dakota up in right through this band right here, you probably have inundated fields, saw as much as 17 inches of rain. So very wet conditions in that area. Now in Kansas, we had anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain, maybe even a little bit more in the northeast corner of the state. Everywhere else it was pretty scattered. Now Alberto brought some heavy rain down into South Texas, and you can see that heavy rain here. Now it's interesting where we had that heavy rain. Look at how dew points are higher, South Texas, and then right in here, low to mid 70s, where Kansas mainly in the 60s. So it's really reflecting that low level moisture that can evaporate and through evapotranspiration make it into the lower part of the atmosphere. Now we also have quite a bit of flooding here, major flooding in purple, and that flood wave is coming down the Missouri River right in here, and coming down the Mississippi, and it's attenuating as it comes downstream. So major, moderate flooding, minor flooding, no flooding. That's sort of what we're seeing. Some major flooding in the tributaries, minor, and no flooding. Okay, so right now what we have is we have a ridge of high pressure over us, and by Thursday it remains over us, pulls back a bit. This system here could bring some cooler air into the upper Midwest. So we take a look at temperatures here. You can see that cooler air, which tries to push down here, it might make it into some of the northern counties, but for the most part, I think it's going to stay to our north, and then we warm up again. I'll be looking at the details in just a second. So as far as heat here, you can see we are looking at next week a category either 3, which is major, or even extreme in spots. So we are looking at a dangerous heat at times across Kansas this weekend into next week. As far as tropical weather goes, like I said, with temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico at record levels and the Caribbean, we could get little plumes of moisture pushing inland at any time. So we could use some rain, especially in these areas here, in that darker shade. That's a D2 drought. But the areas I have outlined and circled, they are most likely to get the rain. So we could get some beneficial rain in this area here that's on the dry side. This area here got the really heavy rain, so we're really getting rid of that drought over parts of the upper Midwest, any lingering drought. Rainfall in Kansas this week, it looks like maybe the east-northeast part of the state could get an inch. Other than that, it looks like not much rain. Let's get into the details. Here we go with that hot weather. 100 degrees early in the week, near 100, then pulling back a bit, and I think we'll get back up here warming up again. And you can see just a chance of rain from time to time. scattered thunderstorms, nothing all that widespread. So I think when we look at the trends here, we are going to peak early in the week with some really hot weather, pull back just a bit, still above normal, and then maybe towards the first part of July, warming up again to near 100 degrees. So summer hot weather. Now we take a look at the week 2, above normal temperatures and just a chance of some rain. I think that's what we're going to be talking about for a while. Above normal temperatures, hot summer weather, and just some scattered chancy type rain. That's this week's weekly weather briefing. Stay cool. Have a great week.